followers who had converted as well.
He started a whole gang in prison? Oh nah, he's different. I ain't gonna lie. That's different, gang.
At one point,
inside Sydney's most terrifying gang war.
this is the story about one of, if not the most vicious feuds Australia has ever witnessed. For years on end,
We locked
two
in.
crime families went at it, going blow for blow, after one had allegedly stolen drugs from the other. Vicious attacks took place in broad daylight, leaving many seriously injured or deceased. The feud got so heated that even the mothers of those involved were not safe anymore. In the meantime,
Even the
families were still
moms? Nah, that's
smuggling
crazy.
large quantities of drugs throughout the streets of Sydney. And here's probably the most fascinating part about this story. While all this took place, the leaders of both families were sat together inside a maximum security prison. How did they manage to orchestrate all this? This is the story of the Hamzi family versus the Alameddin family.
Whoa.
First, it's very important to know exactly what transpired before we get to where we are today. We will start off with the Hamzi family, also known as the Brother for Life gang. The leader of the Hamzi family was a man named Bassam Hamzi. He is the son of Lebanese immigrants Khalid and Lola Hamzi, who moved their family to Australia during the Lebanese Civil War in the 1970s. They had done so in the hopes of giving their family a better future. But once in Australia, especially Bassam got himself in serious trouble. In 1998, Bassam, who was 19 years old at the time, fatally shot 18-year-old Chris Toumazis after they had gotten into an argument in a Sydney nightclub. It led to Bassam getting sentenced to 21 years in prison,
Damn.
and that was the end of this story. Well, at least that's what you would expect when someone gets 21 years in prison at such a young age. But Bassam's story absolutely did not stop there. In fact, it was just the beginning, because from his jail cell in the Goulburn Supermax prison, Bassam went on to form the gang called Brothers for Life in 2007 after converting to radical Islam. Inside the Supermax prison, Bassam garnered followers who had converted as well.
He started a whole gang in prison? Oh nah, he's different. I ain't gonna lie. That's different, gang.
At one point, he had gotten so many followers in the prison that correctional officers agreed it was becoming too dangerous and decided to move Bassam to Lithgow prison. Once in Lithgow prison, all he needed to run his operation outside the prison walls was the phone someone had smuggled into jail for him. None of the correctional officers had a clue what he was up to from his prison cell. But in 2008, Bassam's phone was found. Investigation into the phone gave some rather unexpected insights. It showed that Bassam had made over 19,000 calls, an average 460 phone calls a day from May the 1st to June 11th, 2008.
God damn.
Even further
was going
investigation
crazy.
showed that during those calls, he sent instructions to his lieutenants outside of prison to smuggle massive amounts of drugs worth up to $250,000 per week, conduct kidnappings, and carry out drive-by shootings.
Bro, imagine that. He's already locked up in a max prison, bro. And he's doing $250K in a week? Yeah, per week.
$1,000 per week,
Yo.
conduct kidnappings, and carry out drive-by shootings.
Kidnappings, drive-by
One of those
shootings.
lieutenants on the outside was his cousin, Mohammed Hamzi, the appointed president of the Bankstone chapter, and by some seen as the co-founder of the Brothers for Life gang. Even though Mohammed carried out the title president, he did not do anything without requesting Bassam's approval first. Bassam may found himself behind bars, but he was still the man in charge. However, over time, the Brothers for Life gang grew, and Bassam started losing his power. To join the gang, one would have to buy a t-shirt that cost $70, so practically anyone could join. The men who joined the gang weren't necessarily familiar with Bassam, so they had little to no loyalty nor any incentive to listen to him and do as he said. Combine that with the fact that the gang started making more and more money to do whatever they wished, Bassam lost his grip. The emergence of a new chapter in Blacktown caused an even greater loss of power. This chapter was led by Blacktown president Basim Hijazi and his right-hand man Yeye Amoud. Whereas the Bankstone chapter were mainly men of Lebanese descent, the Blacktown chapter featured men of mainly Afghan descent. Despite belonging to the same gang, internal disputes between the two chapters were starting to occur, and in October 2012, it led to the first of many attacks against each other. Blacktown president Basim and his right-hand man Yeye Amoud were lured to a location where they were sprayed with bullets while sat in their car. Yeye lost his life then and there. Bankstone chapter president Mohammed Hamzi was directly involved in this shooting. Right after the incident, Basim decided to flee the country and left to Lebanon. He was never heard of again. This, however, did not mean that the feud between the Bankstone and
Wait. He never ever again, bro?
He was never. Right after the incident, President Mohammed Hamzi was directly involved in this shooting. Right after the incident,
Basim,
decided to flee the country and left to Lebanon. He was never heard of again. This, however, did not mean that the feud between the Bankstone and the Blacktown chapter was now over. Attacks would continue to go on back and forth. Another notable attack took place a year later in Revesby Heights on the 29th of October 2013, just past midnight. Bankstone president Mohammed Hamzi sat in a garage with Mahmoud Hamzi and a man called Omar. Without them noticing, a white Nissan Tider parked further down the street. Two people got out of the car and calmly walked towards the garage. Once in range, they both started firing off multiple shots. A third person that stayed inside the car could be seen picking the two others up and fleeing the scene. According to the police, the intended target was Mohammed Hamzi, as revenge for the attack on Basim and Yeye. But the shooters managed to hit everyone except him.
They hit everybody but the target. Bad aim.
Mahmoud Hamzi lost his life on the scene, and Omar was badly injured. The three suspects, one of which was a woman called Amanda Crow, was later arrested. They all had ties to the Brothers for Life Blacktown chapter. Mohammed luckily survived this brazen attack and was arrested not much later for his involvement in the shooting of Basim and Yeye Ahmud. NSW Police Commissioner Mick Willing voiced his concerns about the vicious attacks going back and forth and the effect it had on the community. He urged everyone in the community to cooperate in their investigation by sharing any piece of information they had, allowing police to get the suspects off the streets and putting a halt to the violence, though that would prove to be way harder than expected. On the 11th of December 2014, there was a shooting yet again. This time, the victim was Bassam's mother, Lola. A shooter opened fire on her front door while she stood behind it. She was struck once in the stomach, but luckily survived. Fire on her front door while she stood behind it.
She was behind the door and she got shot in her stomach, bro. Nah, that's violation, bro. You don't shoot the family, bro. Especially the mother? I thought there was rules to this.
She was struck once in the stomach, but luckily survived the attack.
Wait, same here. 13-year-old shot 6 people this Saturday, 160 meters in front of me. None were targets, bro. What? 6 people? Yo, that is insane,
Oddly enough,
bro.
Lola Hamzi was the second female family member to be shot through the front door of a house, because early on the 9th of March 2013, Bilal Hamzi's mother, Maha, which is in turn Bassam's aunt, was shot 8 times in the leg.
8 times in the damn leg?
She luckily survived as well.
How the fuck did she 8 times? Y'all got some strong mothers. 8 times in the leg, gang? Bro.
The intended target was Bilal, because he had tried to extort someone's mother for $5,000. Instead of him opening the door, his mother did, and she became the target. But more on Bilal later, whose last name is written differently, as you may have noticed. Different branches of the family use different variations of the surname. By the end of 2014, after several years of on and off chaos and destruction, it seemed as if the end had come for the Brothers for Life gang, after a successful police operation saw many members get arrested. Most of the key members either passed away or were put behind bars. I'd like to think this is the final nail in the coffin, NSW Police Commissioner Mick Willing said after all the arrests. More than 300 charges have been laid against 21 members, putting them all away for a very long time. Bassam, NSW Police Commissioner Mick Willing said after all the arrests, more than 300 charges have been laid against 21 members, putting them all away for a very long time.
Damn.
Bassam, who was still jailed, saw his gang crumbling down. It went quiet for 2 years, but the end was nowhere near. In fact, it would only get worse. Far worse.
How?
Because besides the Hamzi family, there was another notorious crime family active in Sydney, Australia, named the Alameddines. One of the leaders of the Alameddine family was also incarcerated, just like Bassam. Talal Alameddine was sentenced to 17 years in jail for supplying the firearm used in the fatal attack on police accountant Curtis Cheng that occurred in 2015 at the NSW Police's Parramatta headquarters. The attack was labelled a terrorist attack and caused a shock throughout Australia. Some members of the Alameddine family were involved in about everything illegal, just like the Hamzi family. This in turn made them rivals of each other in the streets of Sydney. There are many stories told about what the exact reason for the feud was. Some say the members of the Alameddine ripped off a drug shipment for the Hamzi family back in 2013, Some say it simply began over claiming turf in Sydney to sell their drugs on. Whatever the
I
exact
think it was
reason
that.
may be,
I think it was that
it
second
would
one.
become one. If
Definitely probably fighting over to sell them
we
drugs
ripped off a
on that
drug
territory.
shipment for the Humsey family back in 2013, some say it simply began over claiming turf in Sydney to sell their drugs on. Whatever
Young baby got shot 35 times, survived. Yeah,
the exact reason may be, it would become one, if not the most hectic feud Australia has ever seen. In April 2016, the first of many attacks linked to this feud occurred. Safwan Charbaji, a relative of Alameddin Associates, was taken out. Just 20 days later, Wali Ahmad was taken out. Wali in turn was an associate of the Humsey family. Remember NSW Police Commissioner Mick Willing saying, "I'd like to think this is the final nail in the coffin," after all the arrests back in 2014? It seemed as if the Humsey family was back in the game again. And that resurgence could have been fully orchestrated by none other than Bassam. He reached the national news again in October 2016 when prison staff found yet another phone that could be linked to him. It was a 7-centimeter long phone hidden in a book in a library of the Goulburn Supermax prison, where he was transferred to back after his brief stay in Lithgow prison. By then,
he was finding all the loopholes.
Bassam was labelled as an extreme high-risk inmate for a while already, due to his radical religious beliefs and followers. So, it was pretty embarrassing for the prison staff to learn that he had access to a phone. This is absolutely unacceptable, and we will be investigating this incident fully using our top security operations team from the Security and Intelligence Unit. NSW Corrective Services Commissioner Peter Severin said, "Well, so much for the investigative efforts, because less than 2 weeks later, the same extreme high-risk inmate was caught with yet another phone. It was during an unannounced...
It gets to the point, bro, honestly, it's definitely one of the guards helping brother out. Like, he definitely got the guards on his side.
...announced raid in his cell that Bassam tried to flush the phone through the toilet, but prison staff had cut off the water to his cell already in anticipation of this. Bassam was caught off guard and got busted. Investigation into the phone once again showed that he was still the leader of the Brothers for Life gang. Alameddin leader Talal and Bassam were both incarcerated in the Goulburn Supermax prison. With tensions between the two families rising in the cities of Sydney, it was no surprise that tensions between those two also rose inside the prison. In October 2018, their paths crossed, which led to a brawl all caught on camera. It allegedly started off as an animated discussion about the balance of power inside the prison. Then, CCTV
I don't know who bro is, but he was getting Ray on him, no cap.
footage showed Talal grabbing Bassam and connecting all of his punches. Bassam did not stand a chance. It took several prison guards to stop the fight. NSW police immediately feared for retaliation of both families outside the prison walls, but it remained relatively calm. However, on the 14th of October 2020, Shailin Zreka,
My goodness.
an
Bless me.
associate of the Alameddins, got beaten up by members of the Humsey family. After 2 years of relative silence, the feud got heated again. 3 days later, several bullets were fired at Ibrahim Hamzi's home. As retaliation for that attack, Rafat Alameddin's home was shot up
A day later?
on the 18th of October. That's how fast it could go in this feud. One did this,
A day later, bro?
the other immediately did that.
God damn it.
It went on and on, tit for tat.
Bless me. Ugh.
Just a day after Rafat's home was shot up, the Alameddins were about to deliver a big blow to the Hamzi family. On the 19th of October 2020, early in the morning, at around 7:30, Majid left his house by foot to go on a walk. What he did not know was that 2 hours earlier, 2 men parked their vehicles in front of his home. They were still sat in the car and had a mission to fulfill. Right as Majid left his home and started walking down the street, 2 armed men got out of the vehicle and chased him. Once close enough, they started firing shots, some of them hitting Majid. They ran back to their car,
Whoa.
despite Majid not being down yet, got in the car and fled the scene. CCTV footage showed Majid running while wounded, glancing over his shoulder, but after 100 meters, he fell to the ground. An ambulance crew tried their best to keep him alive, but Majid succumbed to his injuries. Just like that, Majid Hamzi, Bassam's younger brother, got his life taken.
They took his younger brother. It's over, bro. Now it's war. Like, it was already war, but now it's be up in it, going crazy.
When asked about the incident, Bassam was upset, but gave a calm and simple answer. "I accept it as the will of God." However, Bankstown Police Area Commander Darren Sly said that he was very, very worried about potential repercussions following this shooting.
He should be, yep.
And he wasn't wrong.
Yep.
After the attack on Majid, the feud went totally wild. There almost wasn't a week that went by without a fight, shooting, cars being shot at, houses, and of course people. The two groups constantly became more violent and reckless, which also led to innocent civilians becoming the victims. It was only a matter of time before it would be fatal. That happened on the 30th of January 2021, when an innocent man called Mustafa was fatally struck. He had nothing to do with any crime and was mistaken for a member of the Hamzi family.
Mistaken identity, bro? Oh my god, bro. No, that's
Feud
crazy.
could truly pop off anywhere, anytime, even on an airport. On the 6th of February 2021, it was a
Airport?
day like any other at the Ballina Byron Gateway Airport, with people coming and going. Two members of the Alameddins were stood at a conveyor belt, waiting for their luggage to arrive. A Hamzi associate spotted them and walked up to them, and a brawl immediately ensued. Punches flew left and
Yo!
right, all while innocent bystanders quickly had to grab their belongings and get out of the way. A mother could be seen grabbing her daughter to quickly get out of the situation. A woman tried
Yo, they're not even playing at the airport, bro.
to intervene, but that did not help. Hamzi family member Hassan Amoun came flying in, and not much later, a fifth man also joined the fight. All bystanders could do was to keep a safe distance and see it all unfold. It eventually took a lone security guard to put an end to the fight. Police once again immediately feared that repercussions would follow, and looking back, it was safe to say they were not wrong. This fight kicked the feud up a notch, as if it already wasn't violent enough. The next victim would be Bilal Hamzi. Bilal had known for months that there was a price on his head. Even the NSW police told him about it and suggested him to keep a low profile for a while. Rumors in the underworld said it was the Alameddins who wanted him gone and put a price of $750,000 on his head, some even suggesting it was $1 million.
$1 million on his head? Yeah, bro, I ain't gonna lie. A nigga that's so like, bro, anybody's taking that. You don't understand. $1 million? This probably a nigga out there's willing to do it for 10 bands. $1 million? Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. It's over.
Rumors one would take pretty serious, you'd think, right? Not for Bilal. Instead of fleeing the country or lying low in an entirely different part of Australia, Bilal moved into an apartment right in the middle of Sydney's central business district, an area full of densely concentrated skyscrapers, businesses, people, plenty of cameras, and a lot of police. All those things gave Bilal a sense of security and safety, and showed his enemies that he wasn't weak nor scared by fleeing the country. With so many people, cameras and police, there was no chance someone would attempt to hit on his life, right? Well,
You're absolutely wrong. Especially if people believe in something really like strong. Yeah, it's over. They will rather let themselves die. You feel me? They'll kill the person that needs to be killed and let themselves die if that happens after the fact. As long as they get that person, bro.
he was wrong.
Yeah.
Very wrong.
Yeah.
On the 17th of June 2021, Bilal walked down the street after leaving a restaurant. He casually passed the backside of an Audi that was standing still, not having a clue what was about to happen. Right as Bilal passed the car, someone sitting in the passenger side called him, and as soon as he turned around, the person fired off 4 bullets. Bilal was seen flailing on the ground. The Audi then made a U-turn, came back, and fired off several shots once again to finish the job. This time,
Damn!
Bilal wasn't moving anymore. It was another prime.
You mean to tell me he shot him 4 times, came back around and made sure he shot him a few more times and made sure he was dead? God damn, Bilal. You should have left. You should have fled the country, did something,
An
bro.
example that these guys truly did not care about anything anymore. Everything was justified. Because just like that, on a Thursday night, in one of Sydney's most crowded areas, Bilal was taken out.
Yeah, bro.
He wasn't as safe as he thought he would be. The Hamzi family were dealt yet another blow a few months later. This time, it was on the 20th of October 2021. Salim Hamza and his father Tawfiq left their house to get in their truck, unaware of 2 people waiting for them a few meters down the street. All of a sudden, an armed man got out of the vehicle and ran towards the truck of Salim and his father. The man ran so fast that while firing his first shots into the car, he slipped. He quickly got up and did what he came for. From close range, he fired off several shots, striking Salim and Tawfiq. Salim allegedly played a role in the Hamzi gang as he was under investigation for the shooting of an Alameddin associate, Shadi Kanj, 2 months earlier. Father Tawfiq, on the other hand, was an innocent man that had nothing to do with the
Damn,
feud,
the
and
pops
tried to get
in.
his son back on the right track. Once
Damn,
again,
not the
a prime
pops,
example of the
bro.
ruthlessness of this feud. The Alameddin family allegedly was not done yet and kept ordering more and more attacks in an attempt to take out the entire Hamzi family for good. They attacked several Hamzi associates, while the Hamzis managed to attack some of theirs, but the Alameddins were definitely getting the overhand in the feud. Some say that the following attack was the final one that gave them the victory, despite how harsh that may sound. This time, it was another brother of Bassam called Ghassan Amoun. Remember? The same man involved in the airport about 11 months ago. On the 6th of January 2022, a grey Mini Cooper was driving through South Wentworthville. They eventually drove up to Ghassan, who was sat in his BMW. Two men got out of the Mini Cooper, fired off several shots into Ghassan, and fled the scene.
They doing drive-bys in a Mini Cooper? Oh yeah, nah.
Ghassan was treated by paramedics on the scene, but eventually succumbed to his injuries. The grey Mini Cooper was later set fire in a nearby street and eventually burned out for the most part. As of now, many lives have been lost to the Khamzi versus Alameddine feud. Over 10 at least. There have been so many attacks back and forth that I could not even begin to list them all. These were the most notable ones. Many members have fallen on both sides, and even more have been incarcerated and are looking to spend long sentences in prison. Bassam Khamzi, the originator of it all, is still serving time in Goulburn Supermax prison. He even got additional time due to all he orchestrated while behind bars.
He put the middle finger up. Fuck you niggas, yo.
Bassam even involved his lawyer Martin Churchill in his drug ring, who also got sentenced to spend time in jail. After all that happened, it could be said that the Alameddine family have most likely come out on top. But the question is, at what cost? If you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, a comment sharing your
I got
thoughts,
you, my
and
boy.
definitely subscribe if you haven't already.
This is crazy. Shout out to Mossad Decoded. This is a W video, bro. Like W video, man. W video.